السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. مساء الخير جميعا، ونرحب بكم جميعا باسم PMI KSA chapter. Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar. My name is Muhammad Hamad, representing PMI KSA chapter. I'm hoping you guys can hear me. If anybody is not hearing us, please raise your hand or send us a chat so we can see. Okay. I see I have 3 chats, so we can hear you. Good. Okay, looks like we are getting more and more audience joining us. So we can start our event. First of all, I would like to tell you a little bit about PMI KSA chapter, معهد إدارة المشاريع فرع المملكة العربية السعودية. The chapter contributes into the development of project management profession throughout the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia by promoting best practices and, more importantly, empowering our practitioners, the project management professionals, whether he's a PE or a planner or a project director or a scheduler or a cost engineer, anybody who's involved in project management. How do we empower them? By providing them the knowledge and resources. We give them the knowledge to the latest project management education and resources. We organize events and webinars for education purposes. We align with the new PMI strategies and trends. So I would like you all to join us as a chapter member, PMI KSA, and also follow us on our multi-social media outlets. We are very active on LinkedIn, on Twitter, on Snapchat, and the others. So please come and join us and get educated and contribute. We welcome you to join us even as a volunteer. Even if you're not a member of the chapter, please come and help us spread out the professional knowledge. Enough for the chapter. So let me talk about today's presentation. Today we are talking about being agile with disciplined agile. Being agile with disciplined agile. And the presenter is Mr. Saket Bansal. It's a great pleasure for me to introduce him to you. He's one of the leading educators in agile and project management. He has been facilitating discipline agile workshops for many years. I'm not going to say how old he is, but I think you guys can see he's not very old, but mashallah has been very active in this area. He has worked on areas like project management, program management, organization transformation, product management, agile coaching, and software development. He's the director of Bridge, which is a leading professional education provider. Just before we get started, I'd like you to know that if you have any questions during the presentation, please write them down in the question box in your control panel. We will look at them and we will present them to Saket at the end of the presentation, or maybe during, if he can take some questions and entertain them, we will do that. So now it's time for me to turn it over to Mr. Saket Bansal to talk about being agile with disciplined agile, DA. Mr. Bansal, Saket, it's all yours. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me, and it's my pleasure presenting the disciplined agile to the PMI KSA chapter. So as we know that it is the whole idea is about disciplined agile. And I have a very kind of interactive plan in place, and let's see how it goes. So we can talk about the questions in between and at the end as it goes. So this is how the whole flow will go. We will talk about what is disciplined agile, and we will also explore something called disciplined agile mindset, and then the four layers of disciplined agile. Now, by looking at this agenda, it may look that you are going to learn a lot about disciplined agile. But before we go there, I want to have some interaction about understanding what do we understand with agile, because before we talk about disciplined agile, we need to briefly touch upon agile itself, and then we will see how the discipline agile is doing things little differently than the existing agile approaches. That is, we will explore like that. And then finally we will get little more information about discipline agile, like how the whole thing comes together and help us in executing project as well as our product delivery in an agile way. So this is the plan. As we know, you can raise your questions in the Q&A box, and this is how we will go forward. Now, before we go there, I have a question for you before you raise question for me, and this question will come in the form of a URL which you can paste in your browser, and answer me about what do you think about agile. So before I say that discipline agile is something, let's have a conversation talking about what is agile, because what is agile as you understand is more important than I teach you about discipline agile. So in a chat box you must see a URL where you can click and it will open in a browser, and there you can answer your understanding of what is agile. We spend around 2 minutes collecting the ideas, and then we go and take the flow forward. So your time, please open the link in a chat box in the browser and start answering.
Wasaket, if I may interact with you as started, the word agile itself means in the pure language translation, not project man. It means what? Focused, very
Mm-hmm,
focused,
mm-hmm.
right? Because
Yeah,
really,
yeah, yeah,
in our Arabic language and the local project management, agile is a bit new to us. So we're talking about
yeah.
here focusing your project management techniques, correct?
Yes, 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 yes. And here I can see some of these ideas coming in. And now you can come back to my screen. Like, please leave your browser and come back to my screen. And I have some ideas which are here. I see some of you are saying we are new. I can see a clear idea is it's an iterative process. It's an adaptive process. It may means quickly. So I hope you can see my screen, and when you see my screen you can see what kind of an answer we are getting. It's a mindset, okay. Planning the unplanned event effectively, okay, yeah. It's an approach to a software development, may not hold true for a in future, but yes, as of now you can say that it is too much about software, and it is that agile is to deal with the when requirements is not known rather than known. It's an unknown space, and yeah, it's a project management methodologies and all. Good, I think we have enough ideas, and you can also see others answers and inputs here, where you can say, okay, this is something is called agile. I will talk about what is agile, but before I talk, I have another question: what is disciplined agile? But I think we will answer that question once we settle down the agile first. So we can say agile is something about flexibility, agile is something about software development, agile is about unpredictability, and there are views coming in agile is a mindset. Now I go back to my slides, and you can keep seeing this thing as we go along. And what I'm saying is agile can be understood with the help of something called agile manifesto. So now it may look like little historical, but I need to give you a context so that we can see how we relate the history with our present way of working. So it is primarily started from software development. That's at a factor, but now it is going beyond software development. That's a new trend, and it was primarily meant for the places where things are emerging. The life is not very known, and in the space where things emerges over a period of time, the type of approach which helps us in getting things done is something agreed around four values, and there are 12 principles, but here we are primarily just quickly touching upon what are the four value statements of agile. Now the idea of these four value statement of agile is to have a common understanding before we look at a disciplined agile. So you see on the screen, and I am talking about individual and interaction, working software, customer collaboration, and responding to change. So this is like a four ideas which are presented in the agile word. So I briefly touch upon. It is saying that individual and interactions among them is more and more important than just doing process part of it. Now somebody may say, okay, what does it mean? So in a simple word, it means the software development, or be it a product development, or whenever we are doing new development where things are emerging, it's better people talk to each other rather than they remain binded behind the process. The processes are great when things are pretty stable, but when things are not yet stable, process might be needed. It is needed to give us some structure in place, but at the same time we should promote collaboration, because the individuals and interactions and collaboration among them will help us in achieving what we want to achieve. So in a simple way, we can say agile promotes collaboration. Yeah, collaboration is one of the strategy rather than just another thing to have. It's a strategy to get the things done. Then the second point which Agile promotes is focus on working deliverables rather than just showing the project plans and documents. So the idea of working deliverable in the manifesto, it was coming as a working software, but in a non-software environment, you can say, let's do a deliverable based milestone. Let's look at what has been done rather than just a plan and design. So if we have a project, we should divide the project more or less in a feature breakdown structure rather than a work breakdown structure, and focus on achieving frequent deliveries. And those deliveries should be taken as a progress rather than just compiling more and more document. So that's the second idea. You can say that agile is more on deliverable orientation rather than work orientation. The previous way of working was we have done 20% work, we have done 70% work. Here we are saying work is okay, but we need to talk about what deliverable has been completed. So that's the second idea we can pick from agile. And the third idea, which is focusing on customer collaboration. Now the idea here is if you are working in a very dynamic environment, it is difficult to define boundaries between customer and vendor in case you have a two parties coming for a software development. And in those cases, we should promote collaboration. So we can still have a contract, there will be a contract, but contract should promote collaboration rather than give us stringent boundaries to these two parties. So again, it relates with the first point that the whole idea of working in a dynamic environment is collaboration, easy to change environment. And that is something covered in the fourth statement when we say responding to change over following a plan, where it tells about that as we go forward, and I see some of you writing about rolling wave planning or a progressive elaboration, that's a perfect way of saying agile. So agile is all about we will plan as we go along and we will respond to change. Now, somebody may say, since I started learning about project management, there was always a change request, and we can't think of doing project without change request. So change was already there. What is difference in agile world? So the difference, the way I see is that the earlier processes were designed assuming there will be no change. We were going like on a path, then somebody interrupt us, we take care of that interruption, and then we again proceed our path. So that's a design. The agile way of working is designed in such a way that we will get interruption. So you can say that I talk for a while and then I wait and says, do you have an interruption for me before I go forward? And then I talk for a while again and then I say, do you have an interruption for me before I go forward? So it's like we are planning for those events and gaps where we will reflect on, do we need to learn something before we proceed further? It's a planned inspect and adapt point, or you can say planned thinking points where we need to take a pause and plan our thing in the future way. So this is a basic definition of agile. And here I take an interruption and I wait for a question if there is any on agile part of piece. I just take a pause, and anyone who may want to raise something, we can definitely do that.
Well, I have a question or a comment.
Please.
So in the other normal project management work, what you call cascaded, well, there are areas for stop. When you finish a phase, you finish the front end engineering one or two, you finish what is called the feed, you finish the project proposal. And even during these phases, there are engineering reviews where we stop, we send the engineering package, we get comments back from the involved authorities. And okay, some of these comments back will involve changes. We incorporate the changes and then we move on. So we do make stops.
Perfect. And this is what the agility is all about. So the whole idea here is, and I may share the idea, and then we can see how it relates well to it. So I may want to do a work in a 4 steps. And after each step, I take a pause and say that, do you have a comment for it? Yeah. And if we do that, we are taking customer feedback. That's a perfect thing. And that's an agility. Now we need to also ask on what item I am taking comment. Is that item understandable by end customer, or it is so technical that he has very less option to say yes and no? So many time, for example, you submit something, a complicated design to the end customer. An end customer say, yeah, this looks okay, but he's hardly able to understand that. Now we are not getting that achieved, we are not achieving the feedback. So what we need to plan carefully is, at the various steps, whatever steps we are interacting with our customers, first we ask a feedback on something which is easily evaluatable by the end customer as well. It's more like a deliverable which is easily understood. And if some feedback comes, we are open to incorporate those feedback before we give the next deliverable. Like, we are open for those changes, we are open to do these kind of a reflection. And so that's the whole case. In a simple way, it's a simple plan, do, check, act. Simple plan, do, check, act. Now if we can do this plan, do, check, act in a little more frequent pattern, so rather than doing plan, do, check, act once in a 6 month, like this whole cycle, can we repeat this cycle maybe every month or every, say, 2 weeks? The more shorter we make the plan, do, check, act, we are enhancing agility. I'm not saying the if you take a feedback once in a month, it is not agile or agile. What we are saying is, the sooner we take feedback, the sooner we accommodate those things, we are saying we are increasing our agility in that particular space. Thank you. Anything else? I see some ideas. So is agile is about change management, or is it agile is about, I think the phase gate thing we kind of looked at. Uh, yeah, so this is something I can pick up. Okay. So now the whole idea here is, this is looks like an interesting thing. How possibly these kind of things apply into a manufacturing or into construction industry? Yeah. So that seems to be the question. Any Mohammed, you want to share something? Probably based on what I am speaking, how do you see this thing is getting applied to, say, construction industry as a philosophy? Okay. So as a philosophy, what I see here is, any project, any in work you are doing, see, if it's a very repetitive work, for example, you have created a similar construction 10 times, 100 times, 1,000 times before, then you can definitely go predictable. You know how and what you have to do, because you have enough data about it. You can definitely go predictable. In that case, you may want to do little incremental delivery, so that much agility you can do. Say you may want to construct 100 units, you can say, is it possible we construct, say, 20 units, 10 units, and we deliver them incrementally? So that's the thing we can do. Yeah, that's the whole idea we can do. Now, the another thing is that uh, if you have a very unknown construction, like you are dealing with a situation which are which are not familiar, you are constructing something on an unfamiliar ground, or you are using some technology which were not there before. Now, in those cases, we need to see what amount of agility we can bring in. So you can say that we may have outer structure predictable, but inner structure agile. So with lack of my construction knowledge, I can give a simple example like this. Probably I can say that there will be a box which will be based on our historical data, that the whole structure will be made. But after that, as far as the customer will ask for, we can change the interior design. And based on the customer preferences, we will give them in different kind of layout. Maybe the overall structure remains the same, but the layouts are dynamic. And based on the feedbacks, we are able to do that. So if we have that kind of a requirement, we can say we are bringing agility in it. Yeah, if you have say new development happened in the recent time, and you may want to use that kind of technology in your construction work, which you have never done before, like if you are able to incorporate that even at a later stage in your construction, then you can say we were agile in doing our work. So that's where we can say is agility here. Okay, yeah. Yeah, so make a pilot and improve incrementally. So that's all is a good idea. I saw that in the comment, and yes, I can see the chat comment as well, and I can see a question comment as well. So I
Yeah,
can
there's
see the
a
comments.
question
Go ahead.
from the construction industry. Huh?
Go
Somebody
ahead.
saying, so please, can we answer that?
Production industry. Yeah.
No, the construction. Huh?
Yeah,
If you look,
so I was talking about construction, I guess. So I said that it could be like piloting, and even in the construction space, when you have a new technology, that way of working is agile way of working. Yeah. So if I simplify again in the form of construction, the two elements of agility we can take. One is, can we have incremental deliverables? So rather than delivering the whole project at the end, can we do an incremental delivery of those projects? So that's the first part of it. That's a element of agility. The second element of agility is, if you are doing something on an unfamiliar territory, say the land is not familiar to you, the sea is not familiar to you, and your company have never done work there, then we can apply more flexibility in our planning. So we may have few decisions which may have a long lasting impact, maybe the outer structure, but the inner structures can get emerged rolling wave. So if I have to construct a whole, say, housing building, I may construct the outer layer of the building, and I can say, you can make 2 rooms out of it, you can make 4 rooms out of it, and you can have a different layouts possibly. And that's a flexibility. The person who is buying the unit can make those decisions, and we can facilitate that. We are flexible enough to do that. We can give our customer that choice. And think of, if a one builder start giving that choice, other builder will also feel that we need to do something similar. And this looks like, in a software way, this looks like an agile in construction. Yeah, so that's what I can talk. Does this answer, Mohammed? Yeah, at a decent level.
yes, I think so. So
Yeah,
please.
thank you. Yeah, thank you. Now, the point which we start from here, this is the whole thing. Yeah, prototyping, mock-up, incrementally, perfect. Now we move forward and we say, okay, then what is this whole thing is happening? Where is agile and all? So now I brought this technology or a adaptation curve. Many of you who are work in a product development might have seen this before, and it usually tells anything which gets started initially is used by the innovators and early adapters. So they're like, you have a new idea, and there will be always some percentage of people who always want to try new ideas, and they will try it out. Now, it doesn't mean that idea will be successful after that. It may just come and they try it out, and then it doesn't work, then they throw it away, they pick up the new idea. So the early adapters, in my personal understanding, the agile was in early adaptation till say few years ago. So initially, the 20 years ago when agile came in, the new product development company, the software development company, they picked it up and they started working on it with a lightweight guidance, whatever they could understood, they add things to it because they were early adapters. Now, what is happening now from last 4 or 5 years, the bigger organizations, the non-IT organizations are also looking at Agile that can we make some use of it. And you can say when that happens, it means it is crossing the chasm, which means that it is going to a early majority stage. An early majority stage is the concept becomes more stable, more complete. It start incorporating other areas, and there are providers who can do a scale level implementation, scale level delivery. And my personal belief is this is what is happening in Agile. And that is the reason we can say the PMI is also putting this much effort on Agile way of working. Now, we can say that as all of you are PMI chapter member and you have been working and doing something with PMI for a while, PMI started talking about Agile many years ago, but they never thought of bringing that much portion of Agile in the PMP exam till this particular year. But now what they see is that Agile is crossing that particular chasm. It is coming into the early majority space where beyond software, organizations are looking at Agile to make some use of it. Now, what possible the trigger is? In all the industries, now the change is becoming very dynamic. Now, earlier, say a particular industry, the technology, the things are kind of not changing that fast. Say, I may be doing construction and I know what all has to be done. This there from the last 10 years, and it remains like that. But even in those kind of industries, the change in the technology, the demand and competition is growing. And when those technological changes and the competitions are growing, and the demand to manage cash flow is also growing, so you want to deliver early and often. So all those types of demands are making people think, can we bring some amount of agility? I'm not saying the same software amount of agility can come here, but some amount of agility in our way of working. And that seems to be the trigger. Organizations like PMI started working on agile ways of working and promoting agile across industries, not only limited to a software space, but anywhere where the projects need to be executed, there is always a possibility of bringing something from an agile space. And in my understanding, that triggered PMI to focus on disciplined agile. So that's the whole idea which I wanted to promote. So I just look at the Q&As if there are any. Okay, so there is a question related to healthcare field. So again, it depends upon what problem we are solving. So you can say that current COVID-19 vaccine development, it's purely agile approaches. I am not saying that we can label them agile or we can label them whatever, but they are frequent changes, dynamic, a lot of things are happening in parallel, a lot of solutions are getting developed in parallel. So we can say whenever in a healthcare space, whenever we are chasing the unknown problem, there is always a need of inspect and adapt. There is always a need of trying something and then working on it. So that's a pure case of agility. When we are dealing in a space which is predictable, we have solved that problem before and we want to ensure the same drug is given to that particular person, we start going into a process oriented approach because we have solved the problem, we have a drug in hand, and we want to make sure that this is how it should be administered. So administration is going to be a process oriented, or a future manufacturing is going to be a process oriented. But as things emerges, the new ideas emerges, the new, like I work with healthcare companies which are primarily into operational theater instruments, and they want to bring a lot of robotics in the operational theater, and the robotics part is purely agile part. So how do I bring a robot in an operational theater? The good component of it, it's a new thing, it's a new precision level thing, requires good amount of inspect and adapt because it is emerging. Not many people have done it. So wherever you are getting into ahead of the market curve, you bring something, you are chasing a problem which is not yet well defined. And that is the place where you require to be more open to a structure. You need to be more open to the new challenges which you see as you go along. And that is where the agile based approaches, I won't say the healthcare agile will be same as software agile, and the software agile and healthcare agile and construction agile all are three same. They might follow the idea of frequent learning, but the implementation of idea of frequent learning will be done differently. Yeah. Now, manufacturing industry, the lean way of working was always popular. So this is another way of looking that yes, there was a lean way of working, which is there in the form of it. So I take one question and then we move. And I like this question, so I'm taking it. So what is the leadership style better to use in agile project as a project manager to lead the specialized teams? Yeah. So I just rephrase the question and I may say, I understand you want to have collaboration and you want to have frequent inspect and adapt and all those things. I got it. But I'm a manager, how my role changes. I was doing project management before and I will keep doing the project management in the future. So what is change for me? Now, the idea here is the essence of agile is the problem is not well defined. The essence of agile is whatever plan you are making are going to be wrong. They will change over a period of time. So it requires a management style which gives a lot of power to the people who are working on the problem. So the management style, the predictive management style, when the problems are known, is primarily to making people sure that they follow the line. Because we have a history, we know this is how it works, just do it. That's the whole focus in the case of predictable life. When you have emerging life, then you may say, okay, guys, you all are empowered. When you discover something, let's discuss, let's find the right solution for it. So the management style primarily changes from giving direction, planning from others, to facilitating conversation and making people observe and plan for themselves, and facilitating those conversations so that people can plan. Because if we don't do that, we won't be able to take care of the newly emerging information. If my person in the agile world is only executing somebody else's instruction, then we will miss learning from what is happening in the real world. And that is why you keep hearing the coaching style of leadership, facilitation style of leadership becoming more and more popular in the agile world. Okay, so I move and then probably will come back to the question. Here comes the discipline agile. So after having some kind of understanding, and we can say, okay, there is an agile, it was there since 2001, and even PMI brought their PMI ACP program, I think around 9 years ago, and it was doing something and working. Now, what is the need of PMI acquiring another body called discipline agile, and how the discipline agile is different from other agile approaches? Now, the discipline agile, this is a PMI statement I picked up from their website, is talking about is a toolkit, not a framework. And what we are saying is we are giving more process agility. Now, the way agile was promoted, it's an idea as we understood, but ultimately we need some structure to make the things work. So the agile way of working was primarily promoted with Scrum way of working. Now, so there are many frameworks which were there, and most of those frameworks were giving you some direction how to get started, how to operate, and they were leaving other areas which were very variable without any direction. So they were only giving direction in the core area, and they are saying rest of the things you can take care of it. But the DA comes in and he's saying, we are giving you the comprehensive toolkit. So we are covering more areas than existing agile frameworks. But at the same time, we are not telling you do in a particular way. We are giving you various ideas. You need to bind them together and create your own way of working. So we can say the discipline agile is a toolkit, not a framework. It focuses on decisions you need to consider, the options you are available to you, the options are provided by the disciplined agile knowledge base, and the trade-offs, the advantages and disadvantages associated with these options. So based on those learning, based on those information, you probably can make a right decision. So this is how the PMI look at disciplined agile. Now you may wonder, okay, what is disciplined agile and how it works? So many of you are PMI members. So what we can say here is a discipline agile is aggregation of multiple agile and non-agile ideas. Now, if I go back and listen to reflect on the questions and discussion which we had, how do I apply in healthcare? How do I apply in construction? I have a stringent compliance need. I have a stringent, say, cost targets. what kind of agility I can handle. Now, if I start following a framework which is purely driven on a software oriented mindset, it might be difficult to handle the construction agility or a healthcare industry agility, because these agility will have their own constraints and their agility will demand some kind of a compliance and governance. Now, the discipline agile is what they have done is in their framework, they picked up various ideas which were based on existing agile body of knowledge. They even picked up ideas from PMBOK and they created a comprehensive toolkit which they combined and collected in the book named the Choose Your Vows, so ways of working. And that particular toolkit gives you many options to apply based on your need. And that's what we can understand that discipline agile is something, is an aggregation of existing frameworks, ideas, and existing knowledges. Now, in order to understand this little more, just little more, I have few slides to give you some ideas about discipline agile, and then we can definitely have a conversation around it. So as you understand, most of these ideas are presented in the form of mindset as well. So see, many of you have been reading PMBOK, but incidentally, PMBOK doesn't have a mindset. Yeah, it directly starts from, here is a role of a project manager. These are the knowledge areas. These are the processes, and this is how you have to do. Now, we don't reflect on what is the thought process of the project management, what is the thought process of a development team, how the thinking should be there in order to support the way of working we are doing. Now, in the recent editions and the new exams, that part is getting covered, and you can say in the PMP exam focus as well. Now, a lot of focus is going to a people, which is primarily coming in this space. Now, most of the agile frameworks and these discipline agile approaches, they first define how to think before they define what it is. Yeah. So the major source of this information is called principles behind agile, or a discipline agile. So what they are saying is they believe in 8 ideas. We are not discussing the promises and guidelines, that will be too much, but I would like to touch upon the principle part so that you understand, okay, how the discipline agile may look at my development problem, my construction problem, my healthcare problem, because the thought process is compiled in these 8 principles. So the principle starts from delighting customers. Now, I was teaching discipline agile last week, and when I started with the delighting customer, person said, I need to stick to my scope. And if I go beyond my scope, I might be doing wrong. I'm a project manager. So from where the delighting customer comes in? So the whole idea here is that we need to start moving away from boundary thinking to customer oriented thinking. Again, it's not necessary that surprising customer. It's not like that customer was asking X and you dreamed about X plus plus and surprised the customer, and customer felt pathetic with your X plus plus because he never thought that was a need. So it is not about something which is just thinking from your own mind. It is all about thinking from a customer view, thinking from customer problem space. And this is how the discipline agile team is expected to think when they do their development, that our whole focus is satisfying and making customer happy. So that's the first idea. Again, it's an idea, it needs to be implemented by way of doing in the real execution state. Then the second one is a be awesome. It's like a people orientation, where we are saying that we need to create an environment where people feel good about working there. It's just not get the job done. Traditionally, when we do a project management or thing, its whole idea is, yes, we do need to take care of some amount of motivation and reward and recognition, but primarily it's hold the process. So it becomes too kind of mechanical thing. Whereas the idea of creative development, the way we present it, where things are emerging over a period of time, we do want people to focus and stay happy while they are working. So this is like a second principle where they are saying, focus on making an environment which are good and happy. And the third one is an interesting one, which is saying context count. Now, this is something I will relate to our previous discussion where we are saying, oh, this way of agile may be too much for me. I don't see it works. Perfect. So there is no one way of working. Another, even in the same company, you may say, yes, I am in a construction, but my department is doing something legacy work. We have been repeating something which we have been doing from 100 years. But yeah, there is another group. which is doing all new experiments, and they are building something on the sea and they are building something under the sea. And for them, this looks very relevant. That's the point. So first, your industry might be different. Second, so the framework and the process should be different, and the DA provide those choices. Second, inside the organization also, each team might have a unique context. So your framework should support that flexibility. That's the whole idea of context count. Then we focus on be pragmatic. The idea of a be pragmatic is be realistic. You can't be just pure, this is agile and this is not agile. What we are saying is whatever works, works. That's the whole idea. Now, a choice is good is also that we don't have to focus on one way of working. We can have a multiple ways of working. That's a choice is good. Now, optimizing the flow. Now, I read one of the comment is, this might be there in the manufacturing industry with a different name, what it could be. And I was lightly saying it could be a lean in that particular industry. And that's the whole idea. So optimizing the flow is all about make things moving faster. So you don't do a lot of in progress work. So that's the whole idea of manufacturing, which is also getting adapted into product and project delivery nowadays, that we need to keep making things flowing like a conveyor belt so that things keeps moving fast and fast and fast. Yeah, that's the whole idea. And the final two are focusing on how do you organize your organization. So the organize around product and value talks about that, you may have a department like this. And this department, say somebody is a sales department, you may have a development department, and you may have a delivery department. And customer gives an order to sales, and from here it goes here, and from here it goes here, and finally get delivered to the end customer. Now, customer calls you and says, I have a problem. Now you say, oh, problem is because delivery is not producing anything. The sales guy says, okay, I need to talk to my boss. My boss will talk to the delivery boss, and the delivery boss will tell what should be done so that things will move. So if we organize around the functions, there will be always delay in communication, and there will be a silos. Rather than doing this way, what we are saying in the agile way of working is that can we do organize people like this, so that you may have a management control which is coming from customer orientation rather than a functional orientation. So you can relate and equate it with the kind of a projectized organization we looked into. The only difference is projectized organization was always short-lived organization. Here we are looking for long-lived value delivery organization. So that's the whole idea of organizing around product and service rather than organizing around function. So that's a recommendation that Discipline Agile is making. And the final recommendation what they are giving is that we should be focusing on making everybody understand organizational aspects. Any question, Mohammed? You want to say something?
Well, thank it. Yeah, and I think just to make sure we're also aware of the time. It's almost 8:45 now, so we
Yeah,
want to leave
perfect.
time. But yeah, listening to you, and I come from actual project management experience, and what you are saying is trying to frame and provide a structure where we can, as project engineer, project manager, do things faster instead of following the regular slow-paced process. You want to do it quicker, more focused, more agile, as you are calling it,
Yeah,
for
perfect,
quicker,
perfect.
for quicker results. Implement the change, implement the new need, whatever circumstances then come up, you're able to adapt, change, and move on quickly, and not wait several months for decision making. Follow the long standard practices of project management.
Perfect,
Am
perfect.
I correct in this? But you're just
Yeah,
trying to frame it and organize it so the project engineer has a structure to work with.
perfect. So in a way, we can say, and that's another thing also, that do we always have to work in a project environment also? Can we just focus on a kind of a delivery of a product, especially when we are focusing on non-projectized development? So it is a value delivery, say service delivery, value delivery, project delivery. It's more customer orientation. I think your point, if
Yeah,
I
yeah,
it,
yeah. Anything
yeah,
can be called a project,
perfect.
if
Yeah.
it's a product. Yeah.
Yeah. So I understand. I think I cover few more ideas about DA, which is good enough. And just one slide, I think, and then we take a pause and take the question because the Q&A is more important rather than I push an information. So just to take the Mohammed's point further and can say, okay, how does it look like finally? I got it. Yeah, the DA has some elements and Agile has some elements. So how the DA looks like. So this is something of 4 layers of discipline Agile, which is good to give us a feeling. And we can say that it has a foundation layer, which has a principles, which we spoke about. There are promises, guidance, and there are the life cycles. So they propose very different way of working. So now we can say we have a one life cycle where we may do initiating activities. We may have another life cycle where we continue delivering things. We don't have to initiate again and again, because looks like that we are supporting the existing service, the existing value delivery. So it is possible in the same organization, you might be maintaining the building and you might be constructing the building, and both may have agile way of working. So maintaining the building looks very different, because you don't have to do that kind of planning where you have to do in a construction of a building, but the DA life cycles can cater to multiple varieties. That's the whole idea. So these life cycles are influenced by Scrum way of working, Lean way of working, and you can say a serial way of working. So this is the foundation part of DA. Then we have another part of DA which is talking about roles, teams, and ways of working. So the roles part is something like what kind of roles a DA team should have. So they talk about primary roles, which is many of you who may learn Scrum. The Scrum you always understand from the roles. So similarly, we do have some primary roles in case of discipline agile, but we also have a many secondary roles. So secondary roles means they can come and go as and when needed. So that's the whole idea of the foundation layer. So you can say that the idea of working together, the idea of looking at choices, the idea of understanding variability is in the foundation. Now somebody may say, okay, how is it different from agile or a scrum way of working? So the scrum way of working may look at a one aspect or one way of working alone. It will not look at that, okay, we are doing servicing of the building and we are doing construction of the building, and this is a one way. So this one way may not fit for both the context. In the discipline agile, we have a multiple ways. So we can have a lean based approach for servicing the existing building continuously, and we can have a little a projectized development approach for constructing a new building. So it has as all, and they both can fit together in the framework, or in a toolkit rather than a framework, in a toolkit called discipline agile. So that's the foundation part of DA. Now, on top of this foundation, we have 3 more layers. So they call it 4 layers of DA architecture. So first is a foundation. The disciplined agile DevOps, this is little bit too much oriented on software way of working. So here you can say that how do you do development, how do you manage the releases, how do you do your data management. So it's primarily on IT part of it. They do have additional things as far as in the current framework aspire to, refer to, not that well detailed, but the aspiration here is the other type of teams will have other way of working. As of now, the inner way of working is pretty much software oriented. So that's a discipline agile DevOps layer, which gives IT practices. Then we have another layer called value stream layer. So this layer has, they call these boxes called process plates. So it's a collection of processes. The way we understand our PMBOK processes, it's a collection of processes rather than a one process alone. So the value stream layer has various processes which are helping the organization to align the development team with their strategy. So organization may wants to go in a particular direction, say they may want to go into machine learning space. How do we align the development initiative with that? That's the whole idea about value stream layer. And incidentally, the important things to keep in mind is the idea of a discipline agile is not limited to projects and delivery alone. The idea is going beyond, and the idea is about covering the enterprise agility. So what they are saying is that we are also coming up the upper layer, a guidance which will help the organization to do their organizational level stuff in a better way, like how to manage finance, how to manage transformation, how to manage people, how to manage enterprise architecture. Now, the emergence of this framework is here, it is still emerging. If you explore the PMI website, You may not find many guidance at an enterprise layer space. So I personally, as a trainer and the consultant with DA since 2015, I see is that they were having very strong processes here. It is something the other areas are emerging. And hopefully in 6 months to 1 year time, you will see the complete organizational approach for managing the term which is nowadays used is called business agility. So it's not only about bringing agility and flexibility to team level, but also bringing it to a organization level will emerge. So that's the whole idea of discipline agile. I think here we
Okay,
can take a
thank you.
pause. Yeah.
Thank you. I may interrupt. I'll make agile interruption here, quickly and focused. We have 10 more minutes to go.
Yeah.
I'd like to leave enough room. We have a lot of questions.
Sure, sure.
Definitely.
So this is the final slide. This is the final
Gathered.
slide.
No, 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 no. I mean, now if we take another slide, it's going to be another 7 minutes.
I know.
So,
So that's why I'm saying this is the final slide. This the previous one. Yeah. We no more slide.
okay, great.
Yeah.
So can we look at some of the question, and perhaps I'd like to invite Ustaza Hajar to come in and ask, interact with the audience. Ustaza Hajar, you're there?
Yes, thank you. Welcome, Saket. I'm Hajar, SVP of Membership and Volunteer Department at PMI KSA chapter. I'm so happy to meet you, Saket. When I seeing the layers you proposed here, it seems that the disciplined agile is a mixture of project management life cycle, PMO services, governance. It's an enterprise يعني management in the organization. Is it?
Perfect, perfect, perfect. That's a very fair and good interpretation. So we can say that we are mixing various agile approaches in an environment where sometimes more governance is needed. We may add more governance. In some teams, some project initiative, less governance is needed. We can do with the less governance. So there is no one level of governance needed. There is no one level of process needed. These all are options, and they are saying, okay, but we will give you all possible option in a book or in a toolkit in a way. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, I do see something like that. How do we manage budget, and how do we estimate all these things, and what is the difference between the? So I think the idea of agile way of doing, and again, it depends upon how much percentage agility you need. The more agility you need in your work means the more dynamics things you need. There will be a more flexibility needed in estimation and budgeting. If you need less agility or a zero agility, there may be no need of doing flexibility in the funding and the budgeting. So for a given case, we need to understand how much flexibility is needed. Yeah. Say if you talk about like COVID-19 vaccine, when when the company is producing vaccine, they are not worried about the money. They are only worried about the solution. They can invest as much they feel they can do, or they can ask for funding from governments. So they have a space because variability is very high. So that's the one extreme case. The another case could be where you have a very defined problem, you need to construct something and the money is fixed. Then there will be a lack of agility. So the DA approach would be, the DA provides multiple ways of estimation. So there the discipline agile uniqueness will come. There is no one way of estimation. If you need very predictability, you may do very detailed estimation using some historical data and coming up with those prediction. When you have a very vagueness, you may start without estimation also initially, and after only 2-3 months you can start doing the work. Yeah, so this is something which we do in the agile way of working, or a disciplined agile way of working. Yeah. Now the another question coming is, how do we take care of a scope creep in an agile or a disciplined agile work? So the idea of a scope creep is that it's an uncontrolled expansion of work. But in the essence of disciplined agile way of working or other agile way of working is continuous collaboration. So the idea here is the stakeholders are expected to see what is happening on a very frequent basis. And if they see an uncontrolled expansion of anything, they can say, oh, this is not what we need. Yeah, and this is not where we should spend our money. So if something goes beyond the control, it has been made visible to people. Because now somebody may say, but we can tell not to do it, we can give them a clear scope and not to do it. The idea here is we don't have a clear scope, we don't know what to do and what not to do. So how do we define it's a scope creep? We don't know, it might be a right requirement. So only by knowing and talking to people as we are going along, we can know, is it a scope creep or is it a right direction work? So we need to start thinking from a different mindset when we look at agile, and disciplined agile is a further extension of it, than our traditional mindset where we think of, I have given a scope, I have given a money, and I need to get this scope done in this much money. So that's a project mindset. It's not a customer oriented mindset. Now we are getting into a mindset which is focusing on how can we add value with this much money and this much thing. Yeah,
One more question, please,
please.
Saket.
Yeah.
The disciplined agile is a PMI product.
Now, yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, but who should do this course or this discipline agile certification? How can we start the certification on discipline agile? Have you?
Perfect. Very, very
Yes.
important question. See, the PMI has come up with, as of now, two programs. They call it Disciplined Agile Scrum Master, and the another one is called Disciplined Agile Senior Scrum Master. So these are the two programs one can start with. But before you do that, you also have a one free program from PMI on overview of Disciplined Agile. So you can enroll to an online program from PMI. That's a good starting point. My strong recommendation is that. Now, second is you should start with a DASM because that's a good starting point. But before getting into a DASM, a fair amount of understanding of Agile might be useful, because in the DASM, after spending nearby 1 hour on Agile, we start talking about discipline Agile and we start seeing how the discipline Agile is solving problem in a other way than the traditional Agile approaches or the old Agile approaches. So we jump out from Agile way of working very fast. Within a few hours, we start talking about complications related to Agile way of working. So if you have an interest in working in an environment where Agile way of working is going to be followed extensively, I would recommend doing Disciplined Agile, the DASM program. You can enroll to the partners. So PMI has a partners, and their website has those details, and you can find a schedule and enroll to them. Unlike PMP, it is not that complicated stuff. You just go through the class, you get an exam code voucher which you can use, and you can give exam from your home. So that's how it works. And the exam, the certification training fee will also include the exam fee. All the vendors will do the same process. So you can look at that. So if you are looking into guiding, managing agile based ways of working, the disciplined agile might be a good idea. Yeah.
More question from Ahmed. He asked about discipline agile vs يعني ACP agile certified practitioner. What is the difference, or what is the specific thing in
Perfect,
discipline
perfect,
agile?
perfect. Yeah. See, the PMI ACP is a collection of agile ideas, but it doesn't have a integrated approach. So in a way, you can say PMI ACPs will teach you this is Scrum, this is Kanban, this is Agile Manifesto, this is Agile Estimation, this is Agile Monitoring. Yeah. Now you may say, okay, but how do I get started with my project or my product? You figure it out. We have told you all the ideas. Now you integrate them together yourself. So that is where the PMI ACP was stopping. The discipline agile at the other end is not telling you the details of these components. So they don't tell you this is agile, this is lean, this is Kanban. They don't teach you those areas. They directly teach you how to integrate these all ideas and make them into a complete workable model for you. So I would say that PMI ACP or any other agile knowledge, existing agile knowledge, is a good understanding to get started with DA. So disciplined agile is solving your ways of working problem by integrating agile approaches, whereas a PMI ACP is teaching you about multiple agile approaches. Yeah. So if you don't have any agile knowledge, maybe starting with PMI ACP is a good idea, or some other agile certification is a good idea. And then you may start coming to a DA knowledge. Yeah. Or you can do an online learning and then come to a DA learning. Anything left? Maybe.
Let me interact with you again, Sakit, please. I think yani, just to again emphasize the project management knowledge that is out there, the Agile and the Scrum. I attended the Scrum several times. Scrum, simply put, is nothing more than an early morning meeting with the team members where we discuss for half an hour standing what is happening, what are the urgent issues for today. Okay, who's going to do what? Okay, go. Half an hour. The next morning we come back and say, what is the update on this? This is Scrum.
Perfect.
This is just a
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
simple daily project management meeting. But we have
Yeah.
a new name for it, and okay, it's more disciplined. I agree. But there are
Perfect.
already
Perfect.
existing practices in project management. Let's not
Perfect.
complicate life for the project management people who are listening to a lot of new terminology and they're not understanding what's
Perfect.
going on. It's already
Perfect.
there.
Perfect. Perfect. See, now daily Scrum is a part of Scrum, which is like, let's figure out what is important for next 24 hours. Definitely, it's just a part of it. But there are many things which has to happen before. How do you know what was needed for 24 hours? Like from where you come up with those ideas, where you dreamed about those ideas. Now many times what people do is they keep doing what they are doing and they add daily Scrum to it because it's a good to meet everyone in at once in a 24 hours and plan what they are going to do. So in a discipline agile space, the input to your time box is something, is a collection of ideas, requirements, you call it whatever it is. So how do you arrive to it? Now somebody may say, I will make a software specific, or I may make a requirement document. Now there could be a cases where that the requirement document cannot be made in a one go. There could be a situations where requirement documents has to be made in a multiple phases, or I'm using the word rather than iteration, in multiple stages. You do that. So how do you handle that? How do you communicate to the stakeholders that we don't have a complete requirement document and we don't know the complete requirement, but we will go
No,
like this?
you don't do that in the Scrum meeting. You go back to the basics of the feed and the quarterly reviews. So it's not in the Scrum. There, I mean,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. And I think the PMI is trying to work on. They are saying that we are adding various things before the Scrum and we are adding various things out after the Scrum. So it's like that there is the Scrum framework, which was giving you a time box, more than a daily Scrum though, but it gives you a time box in which you produce a small value. But there was a gap before you get into that circle of development. And once you get out of that circle of development, what do? That part, that guidance. Now, the Scrum purposefully kept it out because they don't want to tell you what to do. They want you to explore how you should do and figure out what is right for you. But the DA is saying, we are also not telling you what to do, but we are telling you how possibly you can do. So they are giving multiple options which you can do before starting your Scrum. And there are multiple things possibly you may do after finishing your Scrum. So that's the toolkit part of it.
Okay. Type. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's 9:03 right now. We finished 1 hour of a beautiful
Sure, sure,
presentation. So can we bring it to closer and take one
sure.
last question? Any final question from, if you can look
Yes.
at it, please go ahead, Ustaz Hajar.
Yes. Final question from Ogaz. How to define being agile, overdoing agile, and over discipline agile? Is that the right approach?
Yeah. So see, being agile, doing agile is little philosophical discussion, but I bring it. So the idea of a discussion is that I just do the Scrum way of working. Like I talk to everyone on the once in a 24 hours. We do a Scrum meeting, but we actually don't share all the things. We hide a lot of stuff there. So then it means it's a doing agile. You come and do a Scrum meeting, but it's not being agile because you are not transparent. You are not collaborative. So I would say that being and doing will be relevant for any phase, any flavor of agile, be it agile or disciplined agile. So that's a challenge. And the whole idea is that we want to bring being into it. And how can we bring into it? By way of focusing on the mindset part of any framework, be it Scrum or be it disciplined agile. Once the mindset get imbibed in the people, we can say being starts coming in. Till the time only mechanics is coming, then only doing is happening. So this is how we can relate being and doing. Now, agile and disciplined agile, we can say that many times agile is little puristic. It only focuses on always iterative, incremental, and adaptive, and may not be open with mixing, say, waterfall idea, governance idea, reporting into it. Whereas a disciplined agile is a pragmatic approach where we are saying each initiative, each team is unique, and we need to find their process by looking at available toolkits. And some of the toolkits could be the waterfallish some of the toolkit could be a traditional toolkits also. But if we are dealing in that environment, we may need those traditional tools as well. So that's the difference between generic agile and disciplined agile.
One last question, please. Can we tailor disciplined agile approach to be suitable to in an organization, and on which criteria should we focus? Process, tools, governance, policies?
Perfect. So the idea here is there is no ready-made process here. It starts from tailoring only. So unlike we have a one framework and then we tailor it, the DA is saying there are 20 things, you create your tailored framework. So we start with a tailored framework, and then we can keep tailoring it every month by way of learning which one was working and which one was not working. So it's a tailor made from the day one, not at the later stage.
And this is the agility
Yes,
in
this is the
fact.
agility. And you can think of, they are giving you a building blocks and says, okay, these are the blocks available. Now you make your house using these building blocks. Yeah, that's a starting point. Rather than they give you a house and say, do you want to change something here? We can get it changed. No, it's not the case.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Saket. If you have any comment for the audience, any other comment, you can.
Oh, I'm just happy to be here. And if you have any follow-up queries, you can reach. I'm quite available on LinkedIn and other platforms. And I do encourage you to check PMI content. They have a decent content. You go to a pmi.org/disciplined agile. You can find a lot of information related to disciplined agile there.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're bringing this to closure. I want to thank, first of all, our attendees and participants who've been listening to us and hopefully learning with us all. I want to thank Ustadha Hajar and our Senior Vice President for Membership and Volunteers for organizing this excellent webinar. I want to thank Saket for his excellent presentation on disciplined agile and agile project management. And we have learned together today, and hopefully we can learn more and more. There is a lot to cover in what we've seen, a lot of questions. I hope we will be able to capture. One thing I want to ask Ustad Hajar and Akhuna Ali, are we recording this session so people can look at it later on?
Yes.
Yes, we are recording this
In
session
our
and it will be
channel,
posted
YouTube.
in YouTube channel.
Great.
And one
Great.
video is it will be sent to the email of our attendees for this webinar.
Excellent.
Thank you.
So thank you very much, Saket.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening. مسوا على خير جميعا في أمان الله.
Salam.